She's going to make her way up here. But she is the CEO and director of the Queensland Museum Network, which she started in 2013. As you'll hear in a second, she's an Edinburgh native and she spent 12 years there with the National Museums of Scotland, latterly as the Keeper of Natural Sciences. It's like a Harry Potter thing, Keeper of Natural Sciences. I love it. She was a member of the team responsible for attracting the World Science Festival to Brisbane. Who went to World Science Festival this year? It was amazing. Did you see the huge red inflatable building out here at South Bank? They even let me bounce off the walls. It was awesome. And it'll be returning in 2017. So please welcome Suzanne.
Hi everybody, thank you so much. Real pleasure to be here, and it was an awesome morning, and it's fantastic to see our future thought leaders, scientists, researchers, academics here in the audience. Look, it's great to be here to tell you a little bit about World Science Festival. Obviously a few of you experienced it in 2016. We want to grow awareness and build the brand here. World Science Festival happens in New York as an annual event, has done for the last 10 years, founded by physicist Brian Greene and ABC, American Broadcast Corporation presenter Tracy Day. Really, we were looking to create a new event for Brisbane, for Queensland, for the Queensland Museum, that aligned with all the other fantastic activities that are happening throughout the year, throughout the programme here in Brisbane and across Queensland, supporting the initiatives like Advance Queensland, supporting what the government is trying to do, supporting what schools are trying to do, supporting what the broad community is trying to do in terms of building our STEM skills, building STEM awareness. But for us, as a multidisciplinary museum, we also wanted to be able to explore that really extraordinarily creative nexus when arts and sciences come together. So we were looking to create a new event to add to the amazing calendar we have here in Queensland of these sorts of events like the one we're all participating in today. And we looked around the world at who was doing really great things, and I really like the model of New York because World Science Festival is a great brand, but it also is about looking at that creative nexus between the arts and the sciences, and where the two cultures really come together is where the exciting stuff happens, where those incredible possibilities sit. So in 2015, we were able to secure an exclusive license to host World Science Festival here in Queensland and Brisbane. The license is exclusive for the Southeast Asia Pacific region. An annual event, seemed like a good idea at the time, but basically a new annual event for Queensland, for Brisbane, and hopefully for the Southeast Asia Pacific region. We have a license initially for 6 years, but that's now been extended indefinitely following the success of the festival this year. The other reason we wanted to align with World Science Festival in New York is because we felt that our values and our core aim really aligned with their core mission as well, which is really about having a general public, having a really broad buy-in, understanding and engagement with science, its implications for the future, but the opportunity to provide lots of opportunities for entanglement into the STEM plus space. And we felt that the alignment of the Queensland Museum values, our aims, and World Science Festival in New York was just a perfect fit. So we secured the license, and we eventually announced, following lots of challenges with changes in government and so on, we announced World Science Festival in April 2015 with the view to running the inaugural festival in March 2016. So we left ourselves with not a huge amount of time, but we managed, and we went out to market with the festival, very basic program in December 2015.
Take a big breath. Something big is coming to Brisbane. Big ideas. Big thinking. From New York to the streets of Brisbane. Come and explore the World Science Festival Brisbane, March 9 to 13. See one of Australia's best events in one of Australia's best destinations.
So we actually launched without really a program, which was interesting. We'd never run a festival before, possibly good that we didn't know what we were letting ourselves in for. But over the next couple of months, we developed the festival. And in 2016 ran the inaugural festival here in Brisbane, but also we ran 2 regional events, one in Chinchilla and one in Townsville, where we took elements of the programme to provide regional access to World Science Festival Brisbane. The programme is really around very high-end events. If we're talking about a particular subject area, then we bring the very brightest, the very best, the top experts in their field to talk about that. Whether it's about performances, whether it's about gravitational waves, whether it's about saving our oceans, we want to make sure we are bringing the very best people here to Brisbane to contribute to that broader debate and allow everybody to become entangled in the conversation. So it's really about a series of very high-end performances and events in 2016 over the 5 days of the festival, from Wednesday evening through to Sunday afternoon. We brought almost 250 participants, our talent from around the world. We had Nobel laureates, we had the famous names of science and the not so famous names of science, but famous for other reasons, the likes of Alan Alda, who, the actor, who's an extraordinarily passionate advocate for science and the arts coming together. We put on 124 performances over those 5 days. We had extraordinary buy-in, I have to say, from Brisbane, from interstate and international visitors. Across the programme, we ran a number of world premieres. We had sell-out events, and across the entire programme, we were at capacity of at least 80%, which for a first year, we were extraordinarily pleased to see that level of engagement from audiences. There was clearly a market for this. The audience itself, we had a target set by government of 60,000 in our first year. They thought that was a stretch target. I have to say we were truly delighted and somewhat amazed to be able to attract more than 120,000 people across the 5 days. That had a direct benefit, economic benefit into the Queensland economy, because we had a lot of people travelling from interstate and internationally to attend the festival, resulting in a direct contribution back into the Queensland economy of 5.1 million. That was on the basis of an overall budget, an entire whole of project budget of 3.2 million for the festival. So we want to certainly grow those audiences, and part of that is also aligning around the festival, conferences, congresses and meetings. The idea is to create an incredible buzz around town, have the brightest and the best here, have lots of people coming in from all across the world, so that locally we can all become entangled with those amazing people, as well as showcasing the amazing talent that is also here in Queensland, our extraordinary universities, the amazing research that's happening across our research institutions. So bringing all of that together and creating a really public platform for it. Look, we got incredible media coverage across the 5 days of the festival, more than 1,400 direct media stories that mentioned Queensland Museum, Queensland and science. It went international. Some of the stories were viral. We were in Al Jazeera, we were in Bloomberg, we were on the BBC, we were right across North America. We were on Israeli television. We got really extraordinary coverage, I think, because we had some fantastic talent and some really fun stories to tell. And that translated into 10 million plus ASR just across the 5 days of the festival, so not including pre and post. For the festival, we had to fund the festival entirely through securing new partnerships for the festival. The museum isn't funded to run these sorts of events, so we were able to secure extraordinary support from across the board, from corporate partners, from government, Tourism and Events Queensland, Brisbane Marketing, so part of Brisbane City Council, our academic partners, and various corporate partners who just came on board at very short notice, so we were able to secure the funding, together with an element of ticketed events and the revenue from that. But the idea was that we wanted to make as much of the programme free as we could, but the economic model also has to work for us. So the festival itself absolutely has, at the very least, to be a break-even event. Any profit that might be made, we broke even in 2016, any profit that we might make into future years, we reinvest into the festival. The other amazing thing about Brisbane, and the reason why when I came to Brisbane 3 years ago, I'd had this idea of a festival of this sort in my mind, but I knew it needed to be in the right place. And when I got to Brisbane, I knew absolutely that this was the place for it to happen. Not only do we have this extraordinary precinct, but the precinct partners, the corporate sector here in Queensland, the academic partners, the universities, schools, it's an extraordinarily collaborative space. And really true collaboration, best practice in collaboration, honestly can be very taxing, it can be very challenging. That just happens here. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the weather, maybe it's scale, the co-location of a lot of partners, Maybe it's a combination of all of those things, but everybody got behind World Science Festival. And I have to say it was a risk. You know, we talked to people about what we wanted to do, but nobody here had ever experienced it before. So people just got on board, our partners got on board, the precinct got on board, to really create something that was so much greater than the sum of the parts. The town turned red, red being the colour of the festival. Everything got turned red except the Brisbane wheel. It was a technical issue, but we just say, well, white is also a colour of World Science Festival, so we were okay with that. But the river looked red because every building was red. It was just absolutely fantastic to see that level of collaboration happening.
It is so logical. The World Science Festival has come to Brisbane. This is the Southern Hemisphere counterpart, and the first one, but certainly not the last.
Sparking a conversation of science, that is the critical way of thinking about it. Think about it as a way of life, as a perspective. And that's really what this festival is about, to instill that kind of deep sense of the power of science to give a connection to the cosmos.
This is a way of getting out to an incredibly broad range of audiences, getting people really inspired and excited by science, talking about science, having fun, getting hands-on, and really coming to understand what science is and how it touches every aspect of our everyday lives.
If we are made of atoms, what holds us together?
Science is inherently fun because you start off on one pathway and you end somewhere else.
And the most important thing, I think, is to realize we are the agents of change.
This week you've had 100 of some of the world's leading scientists here.
When you're doing science, the real moments are the ones where you feel like you're staring at eternity. You're staring at something that no one else has seen before.
Hundreds of scientists are here to explain their research and their science and have that interaction with the next generation.
I'm looking forward to seeing some new things, learning new things, and hopefully I'll get to be surprised by something.
It is the first time for me to come to Australia, and I am really happy to see you today.
My favourite was the turtle hatchlings.
The kids loved it, especially the blowing up stuff.
Dinosaurs kind of like popped out from the wall.
Seeing kids to grandparents just completely engaged in science, hands-on, digging up things, talking constantly about science, and it's just been so much fun. I love that.
I love the energy and all of the enthusiasm. You see people of all ages just loving every minute of this. It's extraordinary.
Science is like the foundation of society. It helps us understand how things work and how we work.
It's cool how we can just apply it to our everyday lives.
It's got us where we are today, and it'll push us into the future.
This is a feast of good minds and good people coming to share the view of the world. And what a place to do it.
Just to give you a little bit of a flavour of the festival in 2016, and in 2017 we're doing it all again, but with new participants, new topics. We're also obviously running our main event in Brisbane, but we will be running 4 regional events this year in Chinchilla, Gladstone, Townsville and Toowoomba. And as we move forward into future years, we want to expand that regional programme. We're also hoping, in collaboration with partners, to actually be live streaming large elements of the programme nationally through RNet. So in 2017, our programme looks like this. There really is, we believe, truly something for everyone. There's everything from our panel conversations and salons, which are the slightly deeper dive into subject areas. We have the Science Film Festival, the Science Story Festival. We have Street Science, which is the free hands-on public weekend events. We have some major performances. We have some major art exhibitions. We have our educational and apprentice program specifically targeted at schools, and this year it will be 3 times the size it was last year because we pretty much sold out that program within a few hours of going on sale, and we know that there is absolutely the demand for that. and our strategic foresight piece, which is where we want there to be a lasting legacy from every single festival, where we bring together strategic foresight experts from around the world and look at an issue that's a challenge for us as a society, for government. We pose a question to an extraordinary panel of individuals who come ahead of the festival, workshop the idea, and then deliver their results in a very public forum as the very last event of the festival on the Sunday afternoon. So a really diverse program of events. I think for me in 2016, what was really interesting was that despite spending a large bulk of our marketing budget on the television campaign, television commercial that you saw earlier, most of our audiences came to us online. The great thing about that, though, was that we were able to track them, almost stalk them afterwards. We got huge amounts of audience feedback. And for me, what was the standout feature of the festival, and just the sheer numbers of people who came, was the fact that it wasn't necessarily the audiences that we thought we would attract, particularly in our first year. I assumed it would be people who interacted with the museum, people who came to our events. That would form the core of our audience. Over 75% of our audience who came across the festival had never had interaction with the museum or the cultural precinct, did not have a science background, did not think of themselves necessarily as science people, but really got engaged and enthused by the event, which was exactly what we were trying to do. So we know that we want to attract more of those audiences. We don't theme the festival exactly, but we do use a curatorial framework to help us make sense of the festival. And in 2017, we have a few themes on which we will be focusing. Robotics, energy is our future strategic foresight piece, oceans, physics and space. But there'll be lots of other programs that sit within that. So it's not exclusive to those, but it does help us start to formulate the program. But we're already programming for 2018 and 2019 and beyond. We have conferences, congresses and meetings aligned with the festival right through to 2022 already. So we'd also love to hear from you if you have ideas, if you know of fantastic people with really interesting stories who are really great performers. We'd love to get ideas from you for what the programming looks like, what our themes should be. Our audience, again, we want to be growing that audience. As I said, this year our target set for us was an audience of 60,000 across the festival. We achieved 120,000. For us, fortunately, our audience targets were set at the beginning of a 3-year period, so our actual official target next year is 66,000. I'm certainly anticipating that we smash that target, but I'd like to smash our 2016 target too. I would be, delighted if we were reaching 150, dare I say, 200,000 people across the 5 days of the festival. We've expanded the program to try and cater for the levels of interest and the demand for the program. We launched the first elements of the 2017 program yesterday, and tickets were selling overnight already. By the time I got the first ticket report this morning, tickets were already selling for the program that we've announced so far. So hopefully things are looking good, but getting the word out, using your networks, we'd be really grateful if you can let people you know about what's happening here in Brisbane. March 2017, 22nd to the 26th next year is the place to be. As I say, we would love to hear from you. Also, we rely enormously, as you can imagine, with 120,000 people plus coming through the precinct over a 5-day period, the opportunity to participate in our volunteering program. We relied enormously on extraordinary volunteers, 250 of them this year, and we would love to be able to see more volunteers. We were really delighted to partner with Brisbane State High, as well as many volunteers from the university sector, from community, and we'd love to see more school students volunteering. I know that many of you have volunteering as part of your coursework. It would be great to see some students, more senior students partnering up with us, because you get to meet really cool people, actually. You get to get behind the scenes, you work in the green room, you're chaperoning some of the world's top scientists around the program. So we'd love to get as many people involved as possible to be part of World Science Festival Brisbane. If you can think of regional events you'd like to participate in, ideas you have for programming, ideas of people that you think ought to be here and ought to be part of this, as well as homegrown talent, please let me know. My email's here. You can contact the World Science Festival team at the museum. And also, please go online, World Science Festival worldsciencefestival, all one word, .com.au to see the programme. Thanks very much.